Okay.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back. It is Tuesday. It is 2 p.m. Central Time in the U.S., 8 p.m. in the U.K. For those who might, be wondering. I'm J.R. Reed from NotWeirdJustAutistic.com. We're bringing you Mental Health Happy Hour because we want to end the stigma and all the negativity surrounding mental health. I don't like the word mental illness. I don't believe Jason does either, because the reality is that everybody at some point gets a little depressed, gets a little anxious, gets a little ADHD. So it's not necessarily an illness, but it's mental health, and we want to really make sure that we bring out the positive side of it. Jason?
Yeah. And I'm Jason from the Bipolar DM show, and I'm glad to be here, especially with the topic that we have today. We're going to be talking a bit about PTSD, and that it's not just for soldiers. I'm a combat medic, U.S. Army, was at Walter Reed. I have my share of it too myself from my experiences, and this is an important topic that affects millions of people worldwide, not just military, but civilians as well, because we all cope and deal with traumatic events in different ways. And a lot of those events leave their mark upon us. And with PTSD, it's one of those things where everybody's heard of it, but not a lot of people know what it is. And a lot of people have misconceptions about what it's not. And so we are glad to have our guest on today who's going to help dispel some of the mystery behind this, what was once called shell shock, what was supposed to be called battle fatigue, now it's called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and we're really glad to have this person on. And so, JR,
and
guest.
Be sure to join us next week. We're going to have a roundtable panel of a few vets with PTSD, as well as a spouse or two. Mm-hmm. So, you can hear from both sides. So please, if you have any questions, put your comments in the comment box, and let's bring on Sandra Rush all the way from the UK.
Hello. Good evening.
Good
well,
day.
Evening here, and it's 8 o'clock here, so.
Yep.
Yeah. But you know what? It's not like Sydney where it's already tomorrow. So
yeah.
Oh well, I've got a few hours to bedtime then, so you're all right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Sandra, why don't you start off by giving just a little background, talking about yourself and how you really got into advocating and more for PTSD.
My name's Sandra. I'm an author, journalist. I've been for 20 plus years. I have been interested in military. My family is a great military history. One uncle or my dad or family member of some kind have been in the military. So we are a huge family that's connected to the military throughout the years. My grandfather was at the Somme. So we've always had a keen interest, I have, of military history. I've been recently, because of my writing background, I've been approached by several people to contact people, get them to how they're dealing with stress, abuse, can we say mental health issues, how they describe them, symptoms, things that you wouldn't even think about. And what happened was I was invited to a talk by some serving members of the military and veterans. These people that have been in Afghanistan, Iraq. And interestingly enough, after the talk, a lady approached me and she asked me to speak to her husband. And she said, I've got a story for you. And I listened. We met up, the three of us. Their story, both of them, from both sides, tell of this journey, this fascinating journey of how they, as a young boy, he went to Afghanistan. He was 18. he had all these, shall we say, ideas. At 18, he was going to save the world. You know, he was going to deal with Afghanistan. Nothing was going to affect him. He was going to come back fine. Yeah. On the his spouse's side, it's how he met his wife and how she was in a previous relationship, and he had PTSD, and he kept it hidden for a long time.
That's hard to do.
He blamed her, you know, as an ex-husband. He blamed her. He couldn't tell her, so he blamed her, and it escalated beyond anything I've ever seen. I mean, you're talking physical abuse, mental abuse, is alcohol abuse, terrible things they went through. And she tried to stand by him because, one, I think it felt like duty, and two, she loved him once. She thought she, you know, had a responsibility to help him through it. But when you don't know the circumstances behind it, it's hard to, what are you dealing with? And it became more and more aggressive. And in the end, she had to leave. So then it come down to she met a husband, and now she was trying to rebuild her life. And unfortunately, the ex-husband didn't want that.
Hey, JR, we got a little echo going on.
We got a little echo. Okay, I'll figure it out. But in the meantime, if you have any questions for Sandra and you're watching this on the live stream, please put them into the box and we will make sure that they all get answered. Say hi, whatever. So, Sandra, you and I kind of have a similar background in that we both started writing for local papers and then moved up to, see, I like the term glossies much better than magazines. So,
glossies to me. It covers a wide spectrum of what I do. I started with women's magazines, if you can call them women's magazines, I don't know. But and then I worked up to mainstream. But I always found it more challenging to talk to people that have been through experiences that can share an impact of what they've had, you know, what they've had, what's happened to them. And the lady in the book, she went through horrific an ordeal that I would never. She had reconstruction surgery because it was that bad. But like I say, she's come through it and she's stronger for it. And it opened my eyes to what we call PTSD. Okay, and things I didn't even think would happen. I mean, I've had people contact me from all over the world. Amazing people that have had issues, and I've teamed up with various charities and organisations and veterans associations. If these people need help, they're there. Okay. Some people don't even look at thinking, well, you know, I've had a lot of stress. I can't tell my wife. I can't tell my husband. The list goes on why you can't speak about it, and then before you know it, you keep it hidden. You don't want people to see. And what does it take to get you through the day? And one gentleman, he was so, he was hurt inside that much that it was the emotional scars that you can't see that was damaging. Okay, we have a cut, it heals. Yeah, you have emotional scars that are not visible. Okay, so how do people help you? You see, where do you say, oh, you don't look right, are you okay? What's the first thing you react to? Is, I'm fine. You know, it's not always fine. It's okay to admit you're not okay. Yeah.
Well, it's not always fine. For me, it's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, recently I've become more interested in the symptoms of PTSD, and writing the book, I was absolutely amazed at all the different issues that revolve around PTSD. I mean, one guy had actually been in prison because he hurt someone through PTSD and actually went to prison for it. But if he'd have got the right help at the right time, would he have gone to prison?
Probably not.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's people probably in prison today that, you know, veterans, you know, that have actually committed a violent crime. And I you know, was in touch with various people, and they've said the rate of crimes by veterans is more likely to happen through being in a combat zone. These are violent crimes, okay? And so many people, you just don't realise this happens through PTSD. And it's just like, I mean, one was saying he had to get up to a bottle of vodka every day to get him through the day. You know, one told me if he could sniff it, drink it, or inject it to get through the day, he would do it. He would do whatever he had to do. And people thought he was like this big, strong guy. You know, he was strong as an ox. He was always smiling and happy and joking. But inside, he was an emotional wreck. And unfortunately, you know, I'm not just talking about guys here, I'm talking about women and spouses too.
Of course.
You know, being deployed does not just affect the serving, it affects the whole family.
Right.
And it's those that they sit and they worry. You know, I've had friends gone to Afghanistan, things like that. So I know what it's like to think constantly, you know, especially when they don't contact you for like how many days or hours or whatever. And it's like, oh God, are they okay? You know, but this is part of their life. You know, you've got to say at the end of the day, we've had a good day. You know, don't worry about us. We're fine. Because that allows them to do the job they need to do away from home.
Right. Jason, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'm a Navy brat myself. My dad served in the Gulf War, so I know personally firsthand what it's like to be a military family growing up. So I know what that is, especially during wartime. And one thing that you have, we're talking about is for the cry for help when it comes to PTSD is that oftentimes, and I know this from personal experience, we don't even realize that's what we got.
No.
You know, and a lot of times we just know something's wrong and we can't handle it. And we're doing everything we can to handle it. And we often don't know that's what it is.
Yeah. It's, if you can spot the signs, it's like someone will say something so innocent to someone that is under a lot of stress, and they snap. You know, they would just snap and just say, I'm fine. They're not fine. So, you know, and it's just like, it's getting those people that need help to shout out. And
absolutely
put the hand out to someone and say, look, mate, I'm sorry, I've got a lot of stress on. Or, you know, I could just do with de-stressing. Just a signal.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell a friend. You don't have to. Even if they got in touch with my website, whatever, there are so many charities and organisations that I've teamed up with. I mean, literally so many that are willing to help. They just need to know. And we're not mind readers. You know, a physical scar you can see, emotional scars, they're well hidden. They're just well hidden.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to come across they can't cope. Yeah,
Right.
It's how it is.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
especially
list
military
for
culture.
list for PTSD symptoms is endless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're talking headaches, sleep deprivation, not just substance abuse, alcohol abuse, pill abuse.
Mm-hmm.
The list is endless. But it starts simple. It starts with the worry. It starts with something you have seen, something you can't, something you struggle to take in, a shock, if you like.
Yeah.
And you see it so much with the World War One. You know, you had the soldiers suffering with, you had them deserting, you had things like this happening. And the sad thing is, we couldn't do anything then, but now it's becoming more and more aware for people.
Mm-hmm.
And there is slowly, I would say slowly, improvement of helping these veterans, helping the serving. It's not just veterans, I'm talking families as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for them to come forward and say, look, we're having problems. Will you talk to him? Will you talk to her? My wife's a bit of a wreck. I came back from Afghanistan. She can't cope. So it's not, plus there's the wounded. I mean, there's all sorts of issues and treatments and things like that. People are physically wounded. And it's a sad thing that they feel forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
There's many that feel, oh, they're not bothered. They're not bothered. More so with everything that's going on. It's to know that we care and we will support them. And it's just like, you know, what they're doing now, I would never be brave enough to do, you know, while they're out there trying to help people, serve their countries, whatever. I don't care where they come from. I see it as though they are very brave to do this. Doesn't matter what country they come from. Mm-hmm. They're all the same. They're there to do a job, and they're so courageous to do it because, like I say, I would never be strong enough to do anything like that. Yeah. And they will need our support when they come back. There's no doubt about it, because you know, we just see the pictures that probably they want us to see, or you know, that's permitted to see. So this support really needs to go out to people and say, look, we are here. We are here to support you. We are here to talk to you. It doesn't just stop because they take the uniform off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, Sandra, you mentioned your website. What is the URL for the website so people can go check it out?
It's right. smrush 2020.com.
All right. Well, Sandra, why don't you tell us a little bit about what signs loved ones, family members, close friends can look for to see if someone might be suffering from PTSD?
Well, the people that I've worked with, I can only go by that. Okay, so I'm not qualified to diagnose anybody, but I can tell you the simple list is headaches, okay, sleep deprivation, nausea, okay, shakes, anxiety, being in a cramped room, okay. It's just that person can be how you would act to how I would react in a shopping centre, okay. Someone pushes into a trolley cart. That person, the sound alone is penetrating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they react differently. Fireworks. So many people, veterans especially, what we think is a fun day, you know, July 4th, New Year's, whatever, we have fireworks. how many times do you see veterans in stress because of those fireworks? Okay. And it happens. People are, they do become afraid of noises. They become afraid of being in crowded rooms. The anxiety, the sleep, the drinking. Okay, some people drink excessively. Some people don't drink at all. Some people take pills. Some people take, unprescribed drugs. How many people have come to me and said, I've got these terrible headaches. I can't concentrate. I can't see people. I just want to be left alone. They stay isolated. They shut themselves away. That happens quite a lot. They feel, in one sense, they have to protect themselves, and shutting themselves away, people don't see. There's a suffering.
At the bottom of the screen is a comment. Our good friend Lauren Harris was just today diagnosed with
sleep apnea.
Sleep apnea from PTSD.
Yeah. Sleep deprivation.
Common?
Yeah. Some people sleep all day, all the time, and then some people can't sleep at all.
Yeah, you have that avoidance too, especially when one of the signs and symptoms of PTSD is recurring and intrusive memories, and you know, nightmares, stuff like that, reliving the incident, always going through your head. You know, and so a lot of
reliving the incident all the time.
Yeah,
that traumatic event. One of my guys, he witnessed his friend blown up at the side of him, and he gets up every day and he says the first thing, even when he opens his eyes, the first thing he sees is that every day. And he says he's getting to the stage where he's afraid to shut his eyes, close his eyes, because the first thing he's going to see when he opens them is him dying. And you know, and it is emotional for him all the time. We all dream, let's be honest, we all dream about something good or bad, but it seems to be more real in your sleep. You seem to be, you know, you feel you can't step back, but we have to realize that these are dreams. They cannot hurt us. They've already happened. Yeah. And what we're living is sorrow, possibility, the regret that we couldn't do anything to save that person. And that's where a lot of the, not guilt, I'm not going to say guilt at all, but it's like witnessing something you have no control over. And that is one of the huge problems. 99% of the people I speak to, it's like, if only I had done this, if only I had been 2 minutes early, if only I had pushed him out the way, if only we hadn't got in that truck. It's ifs, buts and maybes can't change what's happened. And no part of guilt or reprimanding yourself can change that. Nothing can change that.
I think that's very similar to people with a lot of mental health issues, that you can what if yourself to death.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what a lot of it stems from. I mean, one of the spouses, lovely lady, her husband died in Afghanistan, and she says, all I can remember is saying to him the last time was, when you get back here, I've got all these jobs for you to do. And he got killed in Afghanistan, and she was like, that's all I see every day is remembering these list of jobs he was going to do when he got back. She says, and they're not important. They're just not that important. But again, it's punishing herself, you know. Instead of, I think she feels if I only had just ended it saying by, oh, I miss you, I love you, can't wait for you to come home, blah, blah, blah. But she didn't. It's like, you know, when you get your butt back here, I've got a lot of jobs for you to do. So that's another side of a wife grieving for something she has no control over.
Right. Well, Lauren just made a really good point. You said, when you're dreaming, you're just dreaming about past events. But his comment is they don't seem like a dream when you're having them.
Yeah,
that's right. It feels so real. It feels real. We've all done it.
And you're so out of control too. You have no control whatsoever. Very few people are able to control their dreams. And so that's one of the frightening things about going to sleep is that loss of control, because the little bit that we have, while we're awake is all that's keeping us sane and on this earth.
Yeah.
And we
your subconscious mind, isn't it? It's your subconscious mind saying, if I go to sleep, this is going to happen. It's like a movie on permanent rewind. Mm-hmm. Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like all the bad bits in a movie just permanently on rewind, and it's just tormenting you, and you feel that it's just out to punish you all the time. And this is one of the main concerns of what drives people to sleep deprivation. It is a terrible thing to think all you can see. Like I say, this young guy, all he sees is his mate getting killed at the side of him, knowing he's going to wake up feeling that, as though he's just coming out of a sleep, and that's all he sees every day, and that's pretty horrific. Like different scenarios for different things. I mean, there was a guy that he said to me, if I don't go to sleep, I don't dream. But if I don't dream, how am I going to see the people I've lost?
That's a good point. Jason, what, when you first found out you had PTSD, what was it like for you, and what did you have to consider in telling those close to you about it?
Well, when I was in during the 90s, so I was in pre 9/11. At that time, the official U.S. doctrine was, unless you are in combat, you cannot get PTSD. And though that has since been changed to include that combat medics who have not served but have been in ER, places like that, can get PTSD. So when I did my PTSD evaluation, it was off the charts. And the doc took the piece of paper my sheet was on, pulled it out of my chart, ripped it in half, and threw it in the trash, saying, "You're never in combat. This doesn't count." So I had other issues of a lot of denial of even having PTSD, even though I had the signs and symptoms for it, that I had to battle and be a self-advocate for to be recognized. Because of that. And that stigma still sticks around in the military today of, unless you're in combat, you don't get PTSD. And then those that are in the combat zone, that feeling that you're broken, that you're less than a soldier or anything like that, you get because something's wrong. It is a Everest of a mountain to overcome, especially when you have a lot of guilt from the war zone. Saying, my buddies didn't come back, or this guy's way worse than me. Why should I be asking for help when he needs it so much more than I do? And so we triage ourselves and make the symptoms and saying they're not so bad as they should, as other people's. We're not as bad as somebody else. We can cope. That whole doctrine that we are great in.
I think some of that is trying to talk yourself into it. As though you want to believe, maybe I can cope, maybe I can, if I do this, maybe if I do this, maybe if I can. It's all round to this if, buts and maybes every time. So there is so many. If you start looking at that, you're talking like you're on a scale. You think you're on a scale. This person may need more help than you, but it doesn't make it any different. He might not have been in combat. There's a possibility that he's only sort of like coming down from something that happened, and maybe his best friend. There is, as I say, there's so many ways and symptoms of the list is endless. The list
Yeah.
is endless. You don't need to just say, oh, I've got headaches, I must have PTSD. I'm drinking too much, I must have, what am I doing? So I studied 33 people, or interviewed, I won't say studied. I spoke to 33 people, including veterans, spouses, and serving military for the book before I started writing, to get an account of what it was like. Yeah.
Right.
So, and since then, out of the veterans that I interviewed, 5 have taken their own lives through self-harming. And I felt as if they should have come to me. It took 4 years to put that book together, because not everybody's going to say, I've got PTSD, let's talk about it. Yeah. Some are very closed about their symptoms. Some are very open and direct and honest and view it lightly and things like that, about what happened and what they saw. Others, they're very guarded. And unfortunately, there were 5 people that were involved in the book that aren't here anymore. And this is a very sad thing, because to even lose one life is one too many.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so Sandra, we'll talk about the book in a minute, but you just brought up something I was going to ask next anyway. So good timing. Thank you very much. So besides PTSD and domestic violence, you're also an advocate for suicide prevention.
Yes, I am. More so after losing one of the guys, which was totally something I didn't see coming. And the book was almost finished, and I asked them each one in turn if they wanted to make a quote for the book, 1 sentence, what they thought, what they dealt with. Didn't have to be about the book, it just had to be something they felt they wanted to say. Okay. And I spoke to one guy. He said, more or less, the best thing I did was talking to you, blah, blah, blah. I entered the sentence in the book, went off to the publisher. The next day, his brother rang me and said, I've got some bad news. He's taken his own life. He couldn't stand the pain anymore. And that was something. I'd worked with this person. It was like family. All of a sudden, 4 years in my life, and suddenly he wasn't there anymore. And I said to him, his brother, I said, look, do you want me to take out what he's told me? I'm willing to do that. Everything he's told me, I can take out. But I have to know now before it goes to publication. I can't do it after. And he said, no, he wanted to talk to you. He told me the best thing he did was talking about it. It become more open. And I said, that doesn't help me when he's chosen to take his own life after we've spent 4 years gradually talking about it. And he was doing really well. He'd become more open. He started attending therapy. He was starting to look towards more of permanent employment and that sort of thing. So his life was becoming, to me, better. But he was hiding so much pain.
Yeah.
And just because he was wearing a smile didn't mean to say he wasn't suffering inside.
Oh no, I mean, I'm on the spectrum with depression and anxiety and ADHD, and we all get very good at masking.
Yes, disguising it. And that's what he did. He must have hid it for a very long time. And he had his whole life in front of him, but he chose to, it was sad that he found the only way to end the pain was to end his life. And that's a very hard thing to accept, that somebody has to end the life to end the pain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
and and I've got, like I say, repeat this till the cows come home. There is help out there. All they have to do is reach out. Just say hello. Just say hello. Just contact. I can only advise someone to get help. I can't force them.
Right.
Correct.
You know, I'm
Correct.
a suicide survivor, and I understand that hopelessness, that when the moment you're holding the pill bottle or the gun in your hand, what it's like, and the complete hopelessness and isolation that you feel as an individual when you're ready to take your own life and made that decision. And I was very fortunate that I survived. But it was, but also my particular case was I had a bad reaction to a particular medication is what caused my attempt.
Don't you think in that sense, there was something inside you that was telling you you need to live?
No, there was no voice.
Not at that time.
There was nothing. All I
I meant as you come through it,
just the overwhelming hopelessness that it will never get better. It'll never be better. You know, I'll never get through this. I can't do this anymore. And I didn't have that. I didn't have that voice saying, reach out or any of that. And that's it gets so drowned out by the pain that when you're at that moment at the precipice, you really need somebody physically there to pull you back. You know, to recognize
one of the parents from one of these gentlemen, a soldier, and he was a veteran himself, and he said the hardest thing is accepting that you are going to outlive your child.
Mm-hmm.
And he lost his son through suicide, and they talk openly about it. And to me, I think they are so brave, because the hurt it must be affecting them by talking about it constantly. That wound is never healing, because it's a constant reminder that they have lost their son through self-harming, PTSD, whatever you want to say, because at the end of the day, his own words were, you can't save everyone.
Right.
And he just didn't want to be saved anymore. They tried to, he'd attempted this 2 or 3 times before, so, the pills and things like that. So unfortunately, this time he just went away and didn't come back.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, on the bottom of the screen is our national suicide prevention hotline for the U.S. If you're really on the edge, there's always 911. No matter what country you're in, I'm sure you've got an emergency number. What would it be for people in the UK, Sandra?
Yes. So please, anybody, if you, I'm not just talking about military here. I'm saying if you have these issues or you feel so down, start somewhere, reach out to someone, talk to a friend, talk to a perfect stranger. Sometimes it's easy to talk to a perfect stranger saying, I don't feel so good, or an employer or whatever. Just start somewhere, because that shows that you can be helped. You've got to, like I say, we can only imagine me, as I don't have these issues, but you can only imagine some of the people that are going through all this pain, as yourself, the suicide survivor. It's an horrific pain emotionally to be so low that your life doesn't matter.
Right. And I want to say
Sandra,
something about the suicide prevention number. If you're a military veteran, it is the same number, but you press number 1 as soon as it picks up, and that will take you to a specialist who with the military. So for military veterans, it is the same number, the suicide prevention number, but you press 1 when you get to the operator, and they will direct you to somebody who's a specialist to help you out.
Nice. Now, Sandra, something you just said brought up something that I'd never thought of. When you said talk to employers.
Yes.
Do you have any clue what percentage of people that come back, vets with PTSD, are unemployed?
Right. The last count that I did was a few weeks ago. Someone told me it's 20%.
Mm-hmm.
So 20%, roughly 20%, do not have jobs, or are not able to function and work.
Yeah, they can't function. Now I know there's a lot of groups now that are contacting employers about mental health in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm in touch with quite a few of them. They are volunteering to go around places of employment and discuss well-being, discuss these people know what they're doing. Okay. Mm-hmm. They know what they're doing, and you can contact them, you can talk to them in confidence, and they will try and help you to stay in employment. Okay, because in another way, if you lose your job, it's another thing that you think, am I here for a reason? Mm-hmm. You know, have I got to this low point in my life that why am I here? And so it is your self-esteem that takes a battering as well. And these people, they're doing this all over the country. They're doing it, it's quite well known in the States. I've got various contacts, so if anybody needs that help, get in touch. Okay. There's various Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, because at the end of the day, people, when they suffer with anxiety and stress, they have a brilliant way of hiding it. Okay. Mm-hmm. They're strong, they're independent, you know, not knocking the guys, but I'm a man, I can cope. You know, I have a family to provide for, a family that needs that person to be okay. Mm-hmm. You know, stress, you shout at the kids, you shout at your wife. So many marriages split up from stress that you think, you know, you're a team. You know, sort this out. You're a team. You need to be 18 to work it out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Sandra, if they go to the website at the bottom of the page, will they have links to Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn on there?
Yes. Okay. I mean, like I say, you can contact me any way. You know, just put Sandra Rush, it'll come up. And like I say, it's so important that please don't just sit there. Mm-hmm. Just, you know, reach out to just reach out to someone. Yeah. Just tell someone. Just send a message. Just send a message. You don't have to. I'm not asking somebody, you know, to send photographs and, you know, pour the heart out to me or anything like that. I'm not expecting that. But you know, just even hello.
I have a question. You know? What's your advice to the person who's at the other end of that conversation, the one who's received the cry for help? What is your advice to them? Especially because now I've gone through crisis counseling for suicide prevention, stuff like that. So I know the things to do to help calm somebody down. But what about somebody who's not trained, who receives that text message at 3:00 in the morning, finding, you know, that their buddy's not doing so right? You know, what's your advice to them as far as what they can do to help somebody going through a crisis?
What you mean, just like calming them down?
Right. Just what, I mean, because to have that kind of responsibility, you know, when somebody's reaching out to you is overwhelming, and especially when you feel inadequate as a person to help.
To someone that's not trained, they shouldn't be doing it. To me, they shouldn't. They can't give advice to somebody. They don't suffer with it. So I don't. So why would I convince you to, you know, pour everything out and just say, well, I understand what you're saying, because no, I don't. It's not going to happen, is it? So to me, there is a lot of trained people that there is so many. There's more and more opening every day. There's more and more charities. There's more and more associations. PTSD websites. Here we have the NHS. Just make sure that, like, if you was my best friend, yes, and you come to me and said, look, I'm not feeling so good. I think I'm, slipping off the wagon a little bit here, and I might be tempted to do something daft. What do you think? And I'd be like, as a friend, I'd be like, tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me what's wrong. Tell me. Do you need to go to the doctors? Do you need to go to your sponsor? Do you want me to get in touch with anyone? Use your common sense. If someone's reaching out to you, use your common sense. What do they need? Don't think about, I wouldn't think about myself. I would think about the person I was speaking to, the value of their friendship. One, I wouldn't want to lose them. And two, I would think, I know this person, he's got to be pretty desperate to tell me this. Where do we go? What do we do? And I've spent 4 hours on the phone to some guys that have just been on the edge, and it's like, look, just talk to me. Just talk to me.
Well,
tell me what's wrong.
And the number one thing about that too, and one thing I learned, it's okay to admit you don't have the answers or you don't know what to do. It's okay to admit to that person that when they call you and they're in crisis, to say, I don't know what to do. The important thing is to listen.
Yes.
You don't have to have answers. You don't have to have advice. You just need to be there.
Listen. Listen. And just say, tell me. Yeah. Just tell me. And to be honest, like I say, I've had people, hours on the phone. I mean, I had one guy crying, and I didn't hardly understand the word he said because he was that busy emotionally crying. And it's like, calm down, breathe, tell me.
Right.
Just tell me. I'm not going anywhere. Just tell me. And gradually, it's like, and,
if you're watching this live and you have questions for Sandra, please put them in to either YouTube or Facebook so we can see them. But Sandra, let's talk about your book, Blast from the Past. Congratulations on the Firebird Book Award.
Yes.
To be fair, I had dental work done this morning, so I'm still a little numb. So I've not been day drinking. This is why
I thought it was the beard. I thought it was the beard getting in the way. I thought it was,
No, you're all good.
Blast from the Past, based on actual events. As I say, I worked long and hard for 4 years to put this book together. It's about an amazing couple that went through so many traumatic events, and the loyalty and the let's just say their destiny was meant to be. And for the military, I cannot thank them enough. They were amazing people. To trust me, I will treasure that. And as for the book, the money goes to charity. Combat stress, PTSD, it goes to them. I don't make any money. If I do, it's
people able to find it on Amazon.
No, % of something. So I'm not going to retire tomorrow. So, but yes, it's available on Amazon. It's available through various other book channels. Here it's Waterstones, but mainly if you try Amazon in the States, people are getting it from the States on Amazon. Canada, they told me they can get it from Amazon too. But so many, because it has a strong theme of both military set in Afghanistan and domestic abuse, so many ladies have also come forward. And believe it or not, I have now, I would say, I interviewed 4 people, 2 men, 2 women, and I would say 1 in 4 men now suffer domestic abuse.
Wow.
Mhm.
That is a staggering number to me.
Employers are now reporting domestic abuse for men, and just because people say it's a woman, domestic abuse is women. A woman gets beaten up. It happens. When it happens to a man, their self-esteem suffers, their dignity suffers. They can't understand what's happening, because they're supposed to be big, strong men, and a woman hitting them is just not something they're prepared. They feel ashamed. They feel embarrassed that this has happened to them, and it's I can't specify this enough. Please do not let it happen. I'm not saying end your relationship. I'm not. I am saying sort it.
Right.
Okay. You can't
find a therapist, a psychologist, a minister, a trauma specialist, anybody who specializes in that.
Because sadly, it's across the board here that you make excuses, you hide bruises, you look for reasons to say it was my fault, I had a fall, it's my fault, I fell off the ladder, blah blah blah. That's men and women across the board. Okay, we make excuses. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable, whether it's a man or a woman, to physically hurt someone is not love. Okay.
Yeah. So Sandra, me being a writer as well and having written a book, I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Are you ready, or are you working on number 2?
Oh, well, actually, the next one is, I've had a lot of support from this. It is based on the Italian campaign of World War II. And I've had a lot of very influential government bodies supporting us. It's actually focusing on, it's put together by diaries, letters, photographs of people that served in the Italian campaign 43 to 45.
Right.
And the research involved is totally overwhelming. It is. And I've been made a member of the Battle of the Bulge Association, which is American. They've been absolutely amazing, absolutely wonderful group of people. South African Military Society, Poland, Canada. I actually got a letter from Buckingham Palace before Prince Philip passed away, supporting us. It's just absolutely wonderful, because the gentleman was so ill. So to get a letter before he passed away is wonderful.
Yeah, I have mad props.
Nice.
He was an amazing man, amazing soldier. And I want that hearse and carriage for my own funeral that he had. It was kick-ass.
Yeah.
It was. Right. I've talked to a lot of vets who've seen the funeral, and we're not into the royal family thing yet, but out of respect and honor to him and what his service was, a lot of us watched the funeral, and so many of us guys were just like, man, that is just... it was so awesome, the setup that he had, the way he was honored, and the life he lived. He was a man who was not who stood in the past.
Yeah.
He wasn't the one to be up front and everything like that. He was amazing.
Because he was in the Italian campaign. That's one of the reasons I approached him, because I come across a story that involved him. So I didn't want to include anything without permission.
Right.
So because he was so ill, I thought if I just wrote to the staff, someone would be able to sort it,
Yeah,
deny it, whatever. But I got this wonderful letter back, and the support is, before he passed away, was just overwhelming. It was just lovely.
That is amazing.
Right. Well, we've got a few minutes left. Jason, do you have
Yeah.
any last thoughts or things that you want to share before we get out of here?
Yes. Again, we were talking mainly about military and PTSD, but PTSD occurs when trauma happens. It doesn't matter if you are a civilian or a military. So whether you're a spouse, child, whatever, it happens. It can happen to you too. If you are suffering from the signs and symptoms of PTSD, and look them up, go to reputable sites when you're looking up signs and symptoms, But most importantly, though, talk to a licensed professional. Don't do self-diagnosis and stuff like that.
No.
It'll get you through the door and stuff and all that, but where the rubber meets the road is getting in through the office door of your doctor, and whether it's the virtual door or a physical door, reach out for help. No matter what your background is, no matter what your trauma is, you need to reach out if you're suffering from PTSD. And like I said, It doesn't matter if you were served in combat or not. If you're military, you can get PTSD from car accidents, from robbery, from assault, from all kinds of things that are traumatic events can leave their mark upon you. And so don't let the embarrassment and stigma keep you from getting the help that you need in order to overcome this, because it can be overcome. I've done it myself. I'm not 100%, but I am a hell of a lot better than I was yesterday.
Yes.
And it is possible
Jason,
to be better. Yeah.
Jason, having known you for 4 years now, and Jason and I live about 10 miles apart, I can say you're in a different place than you were 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that's progress.
Yeah.
Day by day.
There's hope.
Yeah.
And being a suicide survivor, I understand the hopelessness. I totally understand that.
It's one day at a time.
Yeah.
Yep.
One day at a time. So,
Sandra, same question to you. We got a couple of minutes left. Anything else that you want to share, bring out, tell people?
Basically, obviously suicide, please talk to someone. Start somewhere. Just reach out. I'm talking PTSD, I'm talking domestic abuse, anything. Please, if you have stress problems, reach out to someone. Just tell someone, start the ball rolling. Just offer a hand. That hand will be accepted in friendship. Start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Right.
Because you cannot, sometimes, as much as how many days do you go through saying, I can cope, I can cope, I can cope. Okay?
Right.
And nothing cures it.
Mm-hmm.
And you want the next day to be better, and a lot of the guys, they know where I am. My phone is on. They talk to me. If they have any little setbacks, or they just want to say, look, I don't feel so good today, please talk to me, what's happened, tell me, just start talking. Just start talking. When it becomes to a situation where you are not qualified to do that talking, don't give advice. Just listen. Just listen to people. Don't give advice if you're not qualified. Would you take the advice that you're offering? Not many people would.
Right.
So just,
mm-hmm. And
you can be a friend, you can be a supporter, but don't give advice for something that you're not qualified to handle.
Right. And most of the time, people just need somebody to listen.
Yes.
They don't need somebody to solve their problems, because most of the time you're telling stuff they already know.
Yes.
So really, that's all they need is just somebody to listen.
Yeah. Just to know someone's in their corner.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Abandon them.
Yeah. And someone actually cares. And this is my biggest point across is, especially with what's going on at the moment, our troops and things, they're doing their job. Let's support them. especially when they come back, we're only guessing what they're going through. We don't really know. So, let's support them the best we can. These are fathers, friends, loved ones, wives, daughters, whatever. Don't let us think that just because they're in the military, they're getting paid for this job, so it doesn't matter. It's not about that. It's they're doing something to protect us and to help people, and that's got to be worth something. And to me, the book is, let's support our military, let's support the veterans that need help. And they trusted me with their stories. I've become very good friends with most of them and the families, and to me that's more important than actually coming through it. And if I can be there to support them, they've trusted me with so many secrets and and stories, and I think the least I can do is be there for them.
And I think the one thing that I would say is, if you're not that qualified professional, still be there and listen to what the person has to say. Don't just hear them, listen, and let them know that you have no idea what they're feeling, so that they don't think you're pretending that you know what they're going through.
Be sincere.
Be honest.
Almost a year ago, my daughter had a baby that was born with underdeveloped lungs, and he lived 4 hours. And the first thing I told my daughter is, I will never, ever pretend to understand what you are going through. And even if you were to die today at 24 years old, I still wouldn't understand what you're going through, what it's like to lose a child at that stage of life. So, again, just tell the person who's talking to you, give them something like that, that you will never understand, but you want to, and you want to listen.
As I told the guy who lost his son, he wasn't very old, and I said, I haven't lost a child. I have got absolutely no way of understanding what you are going through, but I'm here. Okay.
And that's what we mostly need. We just need somebody to be there. That's it.
I'm here. That's it.
It's very simple.
And to me, I say to people, if you want to message me, you want to talk to me, go ahead. I feel the starting point is talk. Tell someone.
And I told Jason that anytime he needs to talk to somebody, he's got my number. He knows how to get a hold of me, and I've gotten those phone calls at 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. or those texts.
I've done it at 2 o'clock in the morning. Someone's like, I can't cope. I feel this is going to happen and that's going to happen. It's like, okay, let's sit down. What's going on? And,
although at 2 o'clock in the morning,
of an hour of somebody just talking to me, and it's just like, just calm down and just tell me. And they've gone away feeling, I wouldn't say better, I'm just saying they're more relaxed. They're airing their, they're just like their doubts in why am I here, why am I still living, why am I breathing, if I didn't breathe anymore, I would get rid of the problem. But the agony these people go through, yourself, being a survivor, it's got to be the most horrific point in your life that you decide to end your life, to end the pain. And I don't understand why, how it comes to that point. I've never faced that point, but all I can do is be there for people that feel that way.
Well, Sandra, thank you very much for joining us today. And again, if you want to book Sandra as a speaker for your group or your company or whatever, please connect with her at the website at the bottom of the screen. And I know I'll look forward to your next book. And I'm going to go out and look for Blast from the Past in a few minutes after we get done with this. Jason, anything else quickly before we go?
Yes, remember, throw up the suicide hotline number again, if
Yes.
you can.
Yeah.
And remember, if you're going through crisis right now, you're not alone. You know, if you're suffering, don't compare yourself and what you're going through with anybody else. Everybody has their own burden. If you can't handle what's going on, or you feel yourself slipping and you're one bad day away from ending your life, you know, reach out for help. Go to the suicide prevention hotline, not just them, but 911. We're working right now. The nation's working on coming up with a emergency number for suicide prevention as well. Besides, you know, I believe it's a 711 or 811 number they're trying to come up with in the United States. So that's on the road that hopefully within the next year will be out. But if you're going through crisis, you don't have to do it alone. You got brothers and sisters out there, other vets. You have people who care, like us right here, and we're just here to listen. And so reach out if you are going to, and don't let it get to so bad that you can't reach out anymore. Don't let it get to that point.
Right. Well, I'd like to tell people, please, if you know anybody who needs to hear this or see this, please let them know where they can find it. They can find it at on YouTube and Facebook. The channel for both is Not Weird, Just Autistic. But you know, again, this is a subject that is really kind of swept under the rug, and that's why I'd like you to join us next week when we have a PTSD roundtable with some vets, some spouses, some civilians with PTSD, and really get, you know, their stories and hear it from their mouths. So again, thank you very much for joining us today, Sandra. It was great. Jason, always a pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, guys.
We will be
Lovely
back.
to meet you.
You too. And we'll be back next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Central. Have a good day.
Yes.
Later,
Yeah,
everybody.
you too. Take care. Bye. Bye.